Hi, 8th graders. Today we talked about converting units of area and volume, right, from one unit to another. So the basic idea behind this is that we can see in this picture here. Let me zoom in on that. Is if we have here's a rectangle. It's a 3 by 2. Right, 3 yards by 2 yards rectangle. And if we're going to find the area of this rectangle, we can say area equals the base times the height. So when we multiply the base times the height, we'll get 6. All right, and because that's 3 times 2. And then we come to something that works kind of neat because we're talking about area. So then we're talking about 2 uh, yards going this way, and then, oh, that's not 2, is it? 2 yards going that way, we'll split it in half, and then 3 yards going this way, right? And we get 6, and what are they? They're square yards. So we write square yards. Right, but another way of writing this is yard squared, right? Which is actually kind of neat because when we multiply 2 yards times 3 yards, right? We're kind of just make it uniform there. We're kind of splitting this up, right? And we're reordering it. We're using the commutative and associative properties. And we're reordering this. We're saying 2 times 3 times yards times yards. So 2 times 3 is 6. Yards times yards is yards squared, right? So 6 square yards. So we're treating this yards, we're kind of treating like a variable. It's not, but we can, and it serves our purpose this way. All right, so 6 square yards because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yards, and they're squared. All right. Now, if we wanted to figure out, for example, how many feet this was, all right, we know that in each of these situations there are 3 feet in 1 yard. So if I take this 1 yard here and I split that into 3 sections, there are 1, 2, 3 in that yard. I split this one into 3 sections. There are 1, 2, 3 in that yard. I split this one into 3 sections. All of a sudden, our 3 yards this way are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 feet. All right. And then we'll do the same thing with the yards over here on this side. We have 2 yards. Well, this yard is actually 3 feet. And then this yard is 3 feet. What do we have now? We have 6 feet here. And if we were to count up all of our spaces, we have 6 times 9. We have 54, not F, 54 feet squared, right? Because 9 times 6 is 54, feet times feet squared. So how can we do this? How can we change our square yards to square feet, right, without actually drawing, right? We could count on all, and the 54 will be there. How can we do it without actually drawing? Let's use dimensional analysis again, right? We have 6 yards squared. Now, I've told you that we can split this up, and we can say this is 6 over 1 times yard squared over 1. But I can really even split this yard squared up into yards times yards. So 6 times yards times yards, 6 yards squared. All right, and I want to convert both of these yards to feet. So I'm going to multiply by a new fraction, and where yards were on top, they move to the bottom. And now feet are on the top. So 3 feet in 1 yard. We can cancel out the yards, right? That yard's on top, this yard's on bottom, they cancel, but I have one more. I have to get rid of it too, because right now I have like 6 times 3, which is 18, and it would be 18 yard feet, and there's no such thing as a yard foot, right? So we're going to do that again. Our yard is on top, we move to the bottom, so that'll cancel. Put feet on top, 3 feet, 1 yard. Right? And then again, that yard cancel that yard. We have 6 times, well actually we can do 3 times 3 is 9, and then 9 times 6 is 54. Feet times feet, feet squared. Right? Again, we're just using dimensional analysis. I split this up, I split my yard squared up, and do it just like that. Right? Let's look at a question from your homework, and instead of doing square, let's do let's do this one, this 93,312 cubic inches, right? Because it's the same basic premise here, except for now we're talking about cubes, we're talking about 3-dimensional figures, right? So we have, cubes this way, or we have inches this way, inches this way, inches this way. We need to figure out how many yards is that, right? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to think, do we have a direct inches to yards conversion? So we go to our reference sheet, pull it up, and I have conversions within a system. I have yard to feet, but no inches to yards. And of course we know 1 foot is 12 inches. Right? They didn't put that on our reference sheet because they figure 6th to 8th graders should know this by now. So we don't have a direct inches to yards, but we can go from inches to feet, and then from feet to yards. So this one's actually going to be pretty long since we have inches cubed also. So we can split this up. We could say 93,312 times inches times inches times inches, and put all of these over 1. Make fractions. All right. We need to change our inches to feet first, and we can take each of these, move it to the bottom. I like actually just doing it all at once right here, and I don't have to do it one at a time. And just say, well, inches are on top, they go to the bottom. We want feet, so inches, feet, inches, feet. 12 inches, 1 foot. And then all of our 1, 2, 3 inches and 1, 2, 3 inches cancel. We move on. We haven't gotten where we want to go. We want to go to yards. We're still at feet, so we have to convert now all of these. Multiply by 3 more. Right? Feet were on top, they go to the bottom. Yards on top. 1 yard, 3 feet. Then again, all of my feet cancel. 1, 2, 3 on the bottom. There are also 3 on the top. And I've converted all of my inches to yards. All I do is multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. So 93,312 times 1 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 is 93,312. Then what else is left on top? Yards times yards times yards, which is yards cubed, over 12 times 12 times 12. Well, actually 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 12 times 12 times 12 times 3 times 3 times 3. So I'm going to need a calculator for that. So 12 times 12 times 12 times 3 times 3 times 3. It's 46,656. Just double check that. Yep. And there's nothing else on the bottom, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay. Now, our answer is 93,312 yards cubed over 4,656. So we're going to have to actually do this division problem here. 93312 divided by 46,656. And we get 2. Isn't it amazing? 2 cubic yards. All right. So all of that brings it down to this. Now, somebody asked me, Mr. Reeser, do we have to do all this? You don't have to do it. However, I find that a lot of my 7th graders, a lot of my 8th graders, they need to actually do all of this because it takes a little bit of extra thinking to do this shorthand or do it in your head. All right, you could actually multiply by 12 cubed each time, right? Since you could say inches cubed, right, and then convert that and say, well, inches cubed are on top, so inches cubed are on bottom, and then feet cubed go to the top, right? Then you have to cube our conversion. So 12 cubed would be 12 times 12 times 12, right? 1,728, right? And that's fine, and then our cubes, they cancel, right? You just have to remember how to do that, right? But I think that doing it out like this is pretty helpful. It does take a little bit of space, not much more time, but it's going to help you out. All right, so there's 2 examples from your homework. You can use those 2 examples to pretty much do all the rest of them. So good luck, and have a good evening.